Hello there and welcome to GamePoints 138. This is our weekly little get-together. We talk about recent gaming news. I'm, as always, your host, Stephen Brown, and joining me today is...
David.
Tonight, David, we have some EVO news I want to get into. We have a couple bits from Capcom, actually, that makes me just more reassured of their future. I think they're on the rise, personally. I like to see that happening. A couple tidbits about what might be happening later this week that we'll definitely talk about next week's show, because it still is overall a slow week, and a digital version of a board game I'm very excited to see coming to Steam. Of course, if you're watching us live here at Twitch TV/GamePoints, you can feel free to join in the chat. We are audience interactive, so type in your questions, comments, concerns, any topics you want to bring up, and we'll see if we can't get to them. If you're watching us on YouTube at a later date, feel free to comment down below and all that good stuff. We try to get to it when we can. Regardless of where you're watching, like, subscribe, throw bits at. You guys know the rigmarole. You've been on Twitch and or YouTube long enough to know what we're all going to say at this point. David.
Yes, sir.
How was your weekend?
Pretty good. It's gross outside.
Yeah, we're both in California, and if you don't know, the entire state is on fire right now.
More or less. And I don't like it because everything's smoky and hot, and my car is covered in ash sometimes, and it's not that fun.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Down here, it's pretty bad too where I'm at. But I got away for the weekend. I was in Vegas over the past couple of days to catch the Kingdom Hearts World Tour Symphony.
Yeah, that's not what I would have went to Vegas for this last weekend, but that's cool.
Hey, I liked it. It was a quick in and out. We came in Saturday, left earlier today. So if I seem a little bit lethargic, it's because I am extremely tired. I've only gotten about 8 hours over the past 72 of sleep.
No, I just finally picked up Hollow Knight on Switch, so I've just been basically doing that.
Very nice. It's a good game. Good game. Okay.
You want to get into it?
What was that?
You want to just get into it?
Yeah, let's just go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to start off with a few things from Capcom. They've recently had their second quarter conference call, and they were also being given a lot of interviews about the future of the company, and there was a couple of them from different various outlets I wanted to bring up because I think Capcom is on the rise. I've been saying that a lot lately. Monster Hunter World is doing extremely well for them.
Dude, when we were waiting for Monster Hunter World to come out, a lot of the interviews they had with the dev and like where the franchise was going and what they were planning for it made me really happy, because I remember them saying there's no loot boxes. There's nothing that breaks the core gameplay loop. That it's a game. It'll have like regular style DLC and content updates, but no nickel and diming nonsense.
Right. They seem to be the anti-Konami right now, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, basically.
Real Pie Master, by the way, good to see you. Let's see. You were saying... Oh, cool. I'm glad you like that.
Yeah, man,
glad you like it,
really
man. I recommended it to him couple weeks ago, I think. Maybe I did. I can't remember. But anyways, back to this Capcom story here. In a recent interview they did with GameIndustry.biz, one of the things that I'm liking from what they're saying all the right things. They're doing all the right moves, saying all the right things. I like where their future's going. I hope they can maintain it. But the headline from this GamesIndustry.biz article, Capcom, we'd prefer a game that got 9 and sold less than a 6 but sold more. Amazing, right? They're focused on quality over quantity.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing. Like that doesn't scream, let's just shit out this same franchise every year and have them all be basically the same, but try and cash in on just sales. But they actually want polished games that are well reviewed.
Right. Reading from the article, the quote that got me hyped up for what Capcom has in the future is this one right here. While we have shareholders to appease, it's not just about commercial performance, explains Capcom Europe COO Stuart Turner. There's an artistic element that always comes in where we know this is the right way. And if we compare Resident Evil 6 to Resident Evil 7, the absolute numbers are not the same in terms of profitability. The numbers are not absolutely the same. In terms of profitability, it's completely fine. It ticked all of our boxes internally and was really well received, and in some respects, getting some very good review scores counts as much for Capcom as a game that sells in the millions and millions and millions. We prefer a game that got 9 and sold less than a 6 that sold more. Thank fucking Christ. Thank you, Capcom. I am so jazzed for this because I was worried for a second there when Resident Evil 7 didn't sell nearly as well as 6 did.
They would just make 8 back into the action game, and it's just not going to be any good again. But 6 got torn
up when it came to critics, if I recall. I want to say 6 sold like 7 million copies compared to Resident Evil 7's 5 million.
Yeah,
so
you're pretty close.
I am so happy to see a company, especially Capcom, because Capcom has a storied history. They have a lot of IPs I really liked just sitting on the shelves right now. saying, hey, listen, as long as we make a profit, we don't need to sell everything to get all the money. We are happy as long as we can keep the lights on and making money, essentially.
As long as they're making good games too.
Yeah, and that is absolutely happening. I'd recommend reading this entire interview, by the way. It details...
It's pretty great.
Yeah, it details what their future is, and also gets into some details about what they were afraid to change for the upcoming Resident Evil 2 remake, including the fact that they're not calling it Resident Evil 2 Remake. They're just calling it Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, because they're doing so much to it. They don't want to just slap a remake label on it, because we have a lot of remakes that have come out recently and that are still coming out that are just a coat of paint thrown on an old game, and that's really it. But this is a ground-up rebuilt game in the new engine. I mean, basically, they took the story and the setting and then ran with it.
Yeah, and in fact,
and I'm still so hyped for it.
As you go through that article, you can hear them talking about things. It's just, and they're valid questions, right? Do you keep tank controls in, or do you take them out? Because there's a hardcore group of Resident Evil fans who are like, we want it to play like an old school Resident Evil. But is that really what they want, or is that only what they think they want, and they get a hold of it, and it turns out, oh, God, I remember how bad this was as a nostalgia hitting. There's all these fears of screwing the game up. And they take into consideration every single step of the way, according to this article. Is this change going to be for the better? Is this bring Resident Evil 2 into a modern time? Are we going to piss off fans? And I like that they're thinking about this so hard.
Yeah. I also like the part of the article where they mentioned that in a lot of respects they're a boutique publisher, and that they like that launching in that January window because there's pros and cons to launching right before Christmas. You can miss out on a lot of sales, but there's so much stuff that if your game doesn't hit, it doesn't hit at all, and everyone forgets about it. But since they wait and hit after the fact, they kind of hit that dry season, and that's why Resident Evil 7 hit at a great time, Monster Hunter hit at a fantastic time, and they did really well.
The one drawback from this entire article that I would say that kind of made me go, ooh, a little bit is they seem to be shying away from brand new IPs. At the very end of the article here, it says, Molot continues, Molot being another member of Capcom Europe. We are looking to the explosion in affordable digital-only titles. That's how we potentially see new IP being born, by testing the water of smaller titles that are less risky to develop. Maybe we could take a release of a few of these and see if one takes off. Then you can take it further step by step, as opposed to doing a AAA with $10 million marketing budget or £10 million marketing budget. That's never going to happen. So essentially, they're saying if you want something brand new from Capcom, maybe an independent game, maybe one of the Summer of Arcade or PSN exclusive titles, or something maybe on Steam for $15. And if that does well, they might expand on it. But if you're looking for, I don't know, a new IP.
AAA crazy multi-million-dollar project, they're not feeling it.
Yeah, they're not going to do that yet. That's too much of a risk for them, which falls into that boutique category they're classifying themselves as. They're going to be a very bespoke company, I believe, from here on out. They're going to listen to the fans and go, okay, this is what you want. We will make what you want.
And fans wanted that Street Fighter 2 collection, and we got that. So
yeah. Fans wanted Devil May Cry to go back to more of a 1, 2, and 3, and the article straight up says, yeah, we heard you. You didn't like DMC. You didn't care too much for DMC 4, so we're going back to a 1, 2, and 3 style for DMC 5.
Now there's just one more thing they need to listen to.
Well, we'll get into... Well, what do you think that is? Because I have something that I would like to see them get back into.
Oh, no, we both want to see the exact same thing.
Okay. Well, then let's go ahead and bring up the second story related to Capcom right here. And this is more related to their second quarter conference call that they recently just had. Now, if you don't know, these big publishers and developers, they are beholden to investors. And investors have questions about what a company's future is and where the stock is going.
What are you doing with our money?
Yeah, what are you doing with our money? So they hold these conference calls where anyone who holds stock in this case Capcom, can listen in and ask questions and hopefully get some answers to. They do it about once a quarter. Capcom had theirs recently. Let me bring it up right here. Here is the first quarter consolidated financial results conference call for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2019 Q&A summary. I know that sounds fucking boring, and it is.
This is what Steven gets all hyped about, though. This is what he spends his free time. Just, oh man, I'm gonna read that earnings report.
So there's a couple. You'll see a bunch of questions answered here. If you want to read more in depth into it, it will be posted in the links below. But the one thing that I want to focus on comes down here toward the end. Let me see if I can find this. Here it is. Question from an investor. Tell me the expected unit sales for the recently announced Resident Evil 2. Also, do you have plans to remake other titles? Capcom responded with, this title is one of our major consumer releases for this fiscal year, and accordingly we expect it to be in the, quote, million seller class of titles. Remember, guys, when you hear of Rockstar selling like 80 million copies of Grand Theft Auto 5, or Call of Duty selling like 9 million copies, or Battlefront, I think it was 12, those are extremely high numbers. If a game sells 1 million copies, it's usually considered pretty goddamn good, despite what you hear of things when like EA says if Dead Space 3 doesn't sell 5 million, it's a failure. Or Tomb Raider doesn't sell 4 million, I think the number was, it's a failure. Those numbers are obscenely high. If you sell 1 million copies in game development world, unless you have an extremely bloated development budget, you did damn good. Going on. It was received very well at E3. In order to tie this first success to actual sales, we're working out a promotional strategy. Twitch talk. Don't worry about that. Here's the important part. Further, regarding remakes and re-releases of titles in our back catalog, we expect to explore these further with a variety of properties as part of our strategy to utilize our library of IP. In other words, they are going to be looking at their back catalog and see what games might make an excellent transition to a modern age. Essentially give them the Resident Evil 2 treatment. And there is one series that has long been forgotten that I loved and went way downhill, got progressively worse with each new game.
Dude, from 1 to 2, it went down.
And from 2 to 3, we just don't even talk about.
Nope.
This franchise is, of course, Dino Crisis.
Yeah, dude. I'd be so down for a brand new Dino Crisis.
Now, imagine...
Super amazing looking dinosaurs chasing after you. You're running around with guns trying not to get murdered.
Imagine, like, I know Dino Crisis 3 is kind of a fucking joke, right? It was a terrible dinosaurs in space game. Dino Crisis 2, not so much. But the original Dino Crisis, for those who might not know, like Real Pie Master there in chat, imagine, if you will, a original Resident Evil style game. And I don't mean remake. I mean, like, think PlayStation 1, 2, or 3 style game.
Yeah. So tank controls, limited ammo, kind of like a horror game where you're walking through, like, pre-rendered environments from an isometric style camera view or a static camera view.
Looked a little bit better because it was in the later, after I think 3. I'm not positive on that. You're a special tactics guy, a woman dropped onto this island. You're trying to find out what happened to this researcher. But instead of being attacked by zombies, you were attacked by a velociraptor, the T-Rex.
Hell yeah.
It is Jurassic Park, the survival horror game. It was amazingly good when it first came out.
Just concept-wise, it's fantastic because it's, dude, I'm running from dinosaurs, and this is extra terrifying. Like, you're basically playing as the hunter guy from the first Jurassic Park.
Yeah, Robert Muldoon.
But the whole time, I know, and there's still like some puzzle action, and there's you know, find a key to put it in this power generator so that you can unlock the door so you can go in the room that has the shotgun in it. But I don't care. That stuff's fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was Resident Evil with dinosaurs. And they kept fiddling with that formula. Like the second game took out all the horror and introduced a bunch of action, and the third game was just
the second game already ruined it because they made it so instead of being one continuous area where you're like going through and playing an actual story, each zone is literally that. And at the end of each section of gameplay, you actually get like a scorecard and like your time and enemies killed and accuracy and points.
Yeah.
Like, they turned it into arcade game, and it was really weird.
It was bad. It was super bad. But other Capcom IP that could be great. I mean, you, of course, have Mega Man 11 coming out soon.
No.
Excited for that.
You can stop, because the next one that they should I'm not saying remake, but we should get a sequel to Dragon's Dogma. I
completely forgot about that game.
Yeah.
I don't know if
that game came out PS3, Xbox 360 in like 2012, 2011, and it's like a single player RPG, right?
Yeah.
That has kind of some Monster Hunter-esque combat, but then I mean you can throw some spells and it's rad, and you fight dragons, and I'm down.
So I'm going to do a quick search through Capcom games that might actually
It might
be worth
be
bringing
a
up
little
here.
too similar, I guess, in that it's like a single player story version of Monster Hunter vaguely. There's also a whole bunch of fighting games I'd like to see come back. Like, can we get another Power Stone or another Rival Schools? Because I'd be down for either of those. Because I don't play Street Fighter. I'm not gonna lie. I play a lot of fighting games, but not that one. You guys have way better properties. Bring them out.
A quick
Or
peruse of Capcom games. They made a shit ton of them, by the way. So let's see things that might actually be worth bringing to light. Oh, the 1941 series.
1944.
The shmup game. With how popular those have been getting recently, probably bring that back. That would be pretty nice. Ace Attorney. That's still kind of running though. I don't know if that needs to get remade just yet.
I think
Bionic Commando
hit a little too hard to come back.
Is it time for a Bionic Commando remake?
No.
I mean, we just had some already. They weren't very good.
It's never actually time for a Bionic Commando remake.
Breath of Fire.
No, I think we already hit the ones that are good.
Okay, I know they had Breath of Fire 6, which was a free-to-play Windows game, but I think it was released in Japan only, and that kind of sucked. That was not good at all.
Shit.
Yeah.
Onimusha.
Oh, there we go. That's it. I completely forgot about Onimusha. I was going to say, I know we're forgetting something.
That's the damn one. The third-person combat puzzled samurai supernatural adventure game. I mean, I guess at this point it's kind of Neo-y because that game came out.
Yeah.
And we also have the next game from the Insomniac. Who's those Sony guys that making that samurai game?
Oh, god damn it.
Yep. Infamous kids. You know what I'm talking about? Sucker Punch. Thank you.
Sucker Punch. The Ghost of Tsushima. How about Final Fight? Do we need a new Final Fight? Like, I'm just going through the list of things here, seeing what pops up.
I don't think side-scrolling brawlers are gonna be popular. I know
God Hand,
like
Lost Planet.
Metroidvanias are doing great, but
Lost Planet could make a good Metroidvania. I personally think.
Well, what do you guys think?
Yeah, let us know what Capcom you think down in the chat below, and we can go from there. I'm just kind of perusing through the list real quick. And there aren't too many actually IP that I'm seeing here they can really rebuild, because a lot of it's either like Bionic Commando, which already had its shot and didn't do too well. Lost Planet, which it's still relatively new. And if you get to the older stuff, they're very arcadey, which would be great for like a little $5 or $10 reboot, but not a big one.
I mean, they could release a ton of stuff on Switch really easily, but
like I said, Onimusha and Dino Crisis are the only two I can think of that can really get the true AAA Resident Evil treatment.
Well, there you go. That's our thoughts.
All right. So, David, you want to lead this next story here?
Oh, yeah. So we're going to get away from Capcom, and we're going to talk about Bioware. So Bioware, on their blog, recently had a Midsummer update that talks mostly about Anthem and kind of what they're working on and the way they're approaching it. But there was an interesting part at the end where they say, quote, "We hear loud and clear the interest in Bioware doing more Dragon Age and Mass Effect. So rest assured that we have some teams hidden away working on some secret stuff that I think you'll really like. We're just not ready to talk about any of it for a little while." If you remember a while ago, Mass Effect Andromeda came out, and it was real bad and kind of a flop. And we talked about the entire franchise just going away for a while, which kind of sucks because Mass Effect's pretty cool. But that game just, that game needed more work. That game needed way more time. It was just kind of pushed out there, and it was left out to die. I mean, they abandoned any idea of making single player, additional story content.
Hubris. That game was all about hubris. That game was EA going, it's a Mass Effect game, and has the Bioware name attached to it. People will buy it, and they will love it.
This is the opposite of what Capcom's currently doing.
Yes.
This is a game that was sent out with the intention of getting a 6 and selling well.
And Scuttlebutt was, from what I keep in mind, Scuttlebutt being just rumor and speculation, but apparently the dev team, the guys that made that game, knew it was garbage but pushed it out anyways because they had no more choice in the matter.
Yep.
Believe that or not, I tend to actually believe that one because damn, that was such a clusterfuck. But Bioware has taken a lot of lumps lately. So they need goodwill.
Yeah.
Now, when they say, hey, we're doing more Dragon Age and Mass Effect, but we're not willing to tell you what it is yet, everyone starts thinking, oh my god, it's going to be Mass Effect for the proper game instead of Andromeda or insert whatever here. Don't get your hopes up for that, guys. There is no way in hell a new Mass Effect has been greenlit for a full game yet, because I am positive BioWare's future hangs on Anthem. If Anthem bombs, the studio is toast, save for the release of the already announced Dragon Age 4, which is going to be BioWare's last game, if Anthem flops. And I am in the mindset that I don't think Anthem is necessarily going to flop, but it is not going to do what EA wants it to do, because everyone is
Nothing does what EA wants it to do, because EA wants every game released to have Call of Duty numbers.
Yeah. The thing is, though, everyone is going to go into Anthem thinking it's going to be the next Mass Effect, when they should be going into, when it comes to story, but they should be going into Anthem thinking it's going to be the next Old Republic. Not Knights of the Old Republic, their MMO, the Old Republic. That is going to be more what Anthem is as far as story is concerned, in my opinion. Because when you have a multiplayer shared world game, you really cannot get all that intimate with it. You just can't.
Nope.
Because the stuff you're doing can't affect the world around you to that big of a degree, or else you start intruding in on other people's games. So they have to tie all of your experiences to one same thing. I know, like Mass Effect, you can ultimately say ended with everyone getting one of two endings, and I understand that, but along the way, there was the illusion of choice. Characters might have lived or died depending on what you're doing, but if it's a shared world, you can't have characters just getting killed, because they won't be appearing in the shared world, unless they're doing it in a way that they could do it in a way that completely detaches the story from the shared world, but then it's like you're playing two separate games. Like, what's the point at that point?
Well, we'll have to see how it shakes out. I mean, that original Anthem trailer, which we know wasn't what the actual game is, because there's no flipping way. That was just like their little vertical slice of here's what the game could look like. And we'll just kind of have to wait and see. I mean, we got that first delay. We'll see if it gets delayed again. I kind of think it will. But, I mean, who knows? I think you talked about the fact that it has to release, or they're just screwed.
Yeah. They can't delay this game anymore, and BioWare's had a real rough time with a lot of the staff at BioWare has just cut and run. So that gives you my reasoning why it's not a new Mass Effect game in the way that we know it. We already know Dragon Age 4 has been announced, so it's unlikely they're talking about Dragon Age. So that really only leaves a remaster of those two trilogies of Mass Effect and Dragon Age.
Yeah, Mass Effect 1 through 3 in a box, and then all the Dragon Age games in a box.
And they've put Mass Effect 1 through 3 in a box already and released as the Mass Effect trilogy. What I mean is a 4K, high-res, HD remaster of the game. Like, give it the full coat of polish to kick it up again.
Yeah. Last of Us remaster? Or the Uncharted remaster? Or...
Yeah, something along those lines. This is something fans have asked for.
Specifically, I'm not saying the Dark Souls remaster.
This is something that fans have asked for, but BioWare has said repeatedly they have no interest in doing. But since they've eaten so much shit lately, they need to restore their tarnished name with some goodwill. They absolutely need it. And I can't see this being anything else but, unless EA is really desperate to kill BioWare, and they're going to release a mobile game in the vein of Command & Conquer Rivals.
Yeah, I could see a bunch of mobile games coming out.
So before we move on to this next topic, David, Real Pie Master out in chat is mentioning some Capcom franchises. One that I completely forgot about that I would love to see make a comeback, Clock Tower. Clock Tower was not originally a Capcom game. It was made by Human Entertainment, but I believe they eventually did pick up the series with the third one. I need to double check that. I'm doing some research right now, just to be 100% certain. Yeah, Clock Tower 3 was co-developed by Capcom and Sunsoft. The first two Clock Towers for the Super Nintendo and PlayStation where it's from a company called Human Entertainment that doesn't exist anymore. But Capcom, I believe, has gobbled up that franchise. I would, excuse me as I almost fall out of my chair there.
Nicely done.
I would love to see a redone Clock Tower. That sounds like a good idea. So,
I haven't had a Clock Tower game since like 2000.
It's been a while.
2000 something? 2004?
Well, I can find out for you real quick. Give me 1 second here. It doesn't matter. It's been years.
Well, you look at that. I'm going to complain about this next thing because it's completely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
So this is from a story from Gamatsu, and we know that the Spyro Remaster Trilogy is coming out. They're calling it the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Much like Crash Bandicoot just released theirs of like, hey, here's this old platformer that you used to play that you liked. Here's your HD version. Have tons of fun with it. But we recently found out that the game will actually require a content download to place both Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage and Spyro Year of the Dragon. So what we're hearing is a game released in 2018 that has a couple remasters of PlayStation-era games that were on CDs have to be digitally downloaded because somehow they can't figure out how to fit all three on a Blu-ray? No,
Yeah,
that's not it. They're cheap as fuck, and this is bullshit. I'm sorry, if you buy Crash Bandicoot and you put that in your system, you could play all the fucking Crash Bandicoots. How hard is this to get right? I don't know why they're doing this. I don't get it at all.
Why fucking have a physical edition?
Yeah, why don't you just release it as a digital game? Period. Like, you can download it in the store, or you can buy it on Steam.
What was that goddamn game that released that you could buy in stores, but when you opened up the case, it was literally just a code to download it? Do you remember what that was?
No, I probably blocked it out of my head through rage.
Yeah, fair enough. I hate this bullshit. It's so disingenuous. Because people go and listen, I'm a digital guy at this point. I buy almost everything digital because I hate leaving my fucking house. But there are people out there who either have horrible internet or live in dorms where their bandwidth is capped and can't download games, who are like, I need a physical copy of this game. Or even collectors. Or shit, some people just don't trust the service to stay open forever.
Somebody could be just buying a game they liked as a kid for their kid.
Yeah.
That's literally hooked up to the console that's in like their game room or in the office or wherever they throw their kid when they don't want to deal with it. And maybe they've never hooked that thing up to the internet because, I don't know, they don't want them to play Fortnite or something. I don't know. But
the point is, there are many reasons.
It's just shady and shitty
and
stupid.
To do this. It's this half-assed split difference that I can't stand. I would be fine if this game was, if they just straight up said, hey, this game is not going to be a physical release. It's just going to all be download digital. I go, okay, I get it. That's fine. But it's this half-step bullshit where they go, oh, the first game's on disc, but you got to download the other two, which codes will be included in there. It's like, no, goddammit, just don't even release it then in retail.
It's just so weird that the majority of the content in the box is not actually in the box.
It's a bullshit move. I don't think we can talk about it much more than we already have, but just be aware.
I just wanted the internet to know that this is happening, and I'm mad about it. I mean, I'm not going to do anything about it. The game's probably still going to sell some amount of copies, because that Crash Bandicoot game's been doing real well.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Let us know what you think about this kind of bullshit down in the chat below. I know it's kind of a heated topic for some people. Like, I'd say most people were kind of like, whatever. But there is a faction of you guys out there that this thing just lights on fire, and I hate it so much. So let's move from something I can't stand to something I fucking love.
All right, let's do it.
David, both of you and I are board gamers. We love playing board games.
That's true.
One of the biggest board games to come out recently is something called Gloomhaven.
Dude, Gloomhaven is a big deal. If you don't play board games at all, we'll try and get you up to speed. But Gloomhaven came out, what, not even a year ago?
Not even a year ago. I want to say it came out maybe exactly 1 year ago.
And it has basically been sitting at the very top of Board Game Geek as far as like ratings for, I think, since release.
There are people out there who say
game.
This is, no joke, the greatest board game of all time. And it is massive. Yeah. It is 21 pounds of components, dungeon tiles, figures, hidden boxes, envelopes, maps, a campaign tracker. It's huge.
And it ain't cheap.
No, I believe it's 150, 130, something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely not cheap. But it's awesome. And if you're crazy into board games, this is probably something that you've looked at or you've heard of. I think it went completely sold out for a while, and then they finally brought it back. But then you had people that were trying to resell it
They're
for
about to ship
way,
a
way
fourth
too much money.
shipment of this game, and it sells out completely every time within moments after they release it. The reason why we're bringing it up here is, one, we do occasionally get into board games, but two, they announced a digital version of this game coming to Steam.
And that's awesome. Dude, I actually like a lot of the like Steam board games. I think they're fun. It's a cool way to play like board games with friends I have that don't live near me anymore.
Yeah.
And since this is like the best damn board game that's been released, I mean, I think you can actually full stop it there, but we could say recently, uh, having a digital version just sounds amazing, and I'm super hyped.
Additionally, Gloomhaven involves a lot of bookkeeping for a board game, because it's not just I play once and then the game is over. You're part of a campaign. It's kind of like a D&D campaign for all intents and purposes, only the GM is the board itself, and the enemies have specific AI patterns they move in, and there's a plot that you have to follow and unlock. So if you're playing with a bunch of people, it's not so bad because everyone can kind of keep track of their own character. But if you're doing a single player run of the campaign, which you can, and you control multiple characters, the bookkeeping gets insane. So it's nice just to even have this for solo purposes, because it eliminates all of that bookkeeping.
Also, keep in mind that the token organizer for this game, because there's a company called Broken Token that will literally make organizers for games that maybe everything is packed in the box fits great when they ship it, but that's all it's really good for. And then as soon as you open it and you play it once, everything's everywhere and you can't find any of the pieces. The organizer for this game is like $100.
Yeah, and almost recommended, like almost mandatory.
Almost needed because of how much shit is in this game. It's a little ridiculous.
So, yeah, I am very excited for this. Don't get me wrong, there is something special. If I'm playing multiplayer, if I'm playing Gloomhaven multiplayer, I want to do this in person when possible. I want to be able to sit across from someone, move the pieces on the table, move them around. But if I'm just playing at home, this eliminates all that. I don't need to bust out 21 pounds of game, set it up, take an hour to set it up because it's just me, and then play it for 4 hours, because Magic Gloomhaven takes forever, and then pack it back all up. I'd like to have it when I can just save and put away. Let's see. Chat is asking, I didn't know digital board game was a term. Is Divinity considered or just an RPG? So a digital board game there is when they take an actual board game and just make a computer version of it. For example,
that's exactly like the board game. Like it might have graphics, like it might render characters or add environments or make it look a little nicer, but the core mechanics of like I throw a die and then I see what the die roll is and then my character moves. Like it's a board game.
You know how you guys have like Monopoly on your phone? You can go to the Android store or the iPhone store and buy Monopoly. That is technically a digital board game. Examples on Steam would include Talisman. I think Relic is on there now as well.
You can play Ticket to Ride on Steam.
Yeah, Ticket to Ride. If you have Xbox or any of the consoles, Settlers of Catan is on there. These are all actual physical board games they just made a digital version of. That's a digital board game. So, in case you were wondering. All right, David, let's go ahead and move on to the last big topic of the show today, and it is all about EVO.
Yeah. So you went to Vegas to go watch a Kingdom Hearts thing, but a whole lot more people went to Vegas to watch EVO. This is the fighting game tournament that happens once a year there in Vegas at the Mandalay Bay Event Center. And it's a pretty big damn deal. You have gamers come from all over the world to play, and they have a kind of who's who of just the best fighters. And if you like fighting games at all, it's basically what you watched this weekend, more or less.
Yeah, it's all of them. I think Twitch TV said they had a record 250,000 people watching the Smash Brothers final.
No. It was actually a big deal because the Dragon Ball fighting game,
that's what
Dragon Ball Fighter Z, actually like overtook Fortnite in prime time hours. So like when Ninja was on, when like the big Fortnite streamers were all on, EVO is beating them.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
So yeah, That was cool. It was also fun because there was a game that had more entries than the current Street Fighter, which was Dragon Ball. It had a ridiculous amount of people. I think like 2,600 competitors at that game.
God damn.
Yeah, so they just had pools like all day Friday, and just there was a million fights that weren't even on the stream because there
And
were
keep in
just
mind,
so
this
many people to get through.
is more than just Dragon Ball Z Fighters or Smash Brothers. It's also Tekken, Injustice, any kind of fighting game you can think of has their competition.
There's the main stage games. So that includes Street Fighter V, Smash Brothers, Melee, and Wii U. And then you have Injustice 2, Tekken 7, I think BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball were the main games. But there's side tournaments, and there's a million people there that bring their own consoles, and they play basically every damn game you can think of. We'll have some representation, and that's cool. So some games finish up on Saturday, some games finish up on Sunday. Now, the big thing here is they always have some announcements. So we got, to see some of the new characters coming out for Dragon Ball. We got to know which new characters are coming out for Street Fighter. But one thing in particular was really weird, and that was the character announcement for Tekken 7. I don't want to go through everything. EVO is a whole big thing. You guys can look at that. I might cover a couple other things. But when they came out on stage to thank everybody for playing Tekken 7 and watching Tekken 7, they had their character reveal. They showed that Anna Williams is returning. That's Nina's sister from the old games. We also get Lei Wulong back, which I'm super hyped for because I played that guy all the time back in the day. And then, in a really strange turn of events, a character that has no business in this franchise, in my opinion, shows up. And that's Negan from The Walking Dead. Apparently, Bandai Namco is doing a crossover, and they're bringing the bad guy from The Walking Dead, who's in a horribly violent show and kills people with a bat, to a game that has a bear and a dinosaur.
In this article from WCCFtech.com, the first time I think we've ever sourced them.
I would have just sourced the EVO stream, but that's fine.
It's the article that I had, man. The Tekken 7 Season 2 characters will include Anna Williams, Lei Wulong, and Negan from the Walking Dead series. The Bandai Namco fighting game already includes several guest characters, including Akuma from Street Fighter, Geese Howard from Fatal Fury and the King of Fighters, and Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. But Negan's conclusion is definitely unexpected, being the first one from a popular TV show. One thing I don't get, though, so this is already a very weird announcement to begin with, but why isn't Negan in Soul Calibur? Because of his bat.
I mean, I guess, yeah, if you're keeping it Namco, that makes sense that you'd put him in Soul Calibur, but more than that, why isn't he in the whatever current NetherRealm game?
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Like, that would make more sense.
Yeah, I just don't, because Bandai Namco owns both Tekken and Soul Calibur at this point.
Yeah, so between the two of those, you think a guy with a weapon would be in the game with a weapon.
Yeah.
But, we've got a Final Fantasy character that's got weapons. He runs around and does stuff. We got a character from another fighting game. We've got Geese. And I guess you can use someone from a TV show and then somehow generate a whole move set and make him a fighting game.
So what's weirder, this or Spawn in Soul Calibur back when that happened?
Soul Calibur, it's expected to have weird guest characters.
Is it?
Yeah, more so.
I could have sworn Spawn, but back when Soul Calibur, what was it, 2 or 3, when they had Spawn, Hayachi, and
Link. Yeah, because Soul Calibur always has guest characters. But and there's always a guest character on the cover.
So
like the new
Soul
one that's
Calibur
coming out.
Did they have guest characters in it?
Man, I don't remember Dreamcast.
Because Soul Calibur 2 is the one that had Spawn in it, meaning that would have been the first time a guest character has been in Soul Calibur.
Oh, so you had Heihachi, Link, and Spawn.
At Soul the time, Calibur 3, when it released,
you had Vader and Yoda
and Master Chief, I think. Kid? But
no, it's the Jedi.
What I'm talking about specifically, think about when Soul Calibur 2 first came out. Not with hindsight, knowing they always have special characters now. But when Soul Calibur 2 first came out, I don't think they ever did special characters before. Or guest characters. I think Soul Calibur 2 was the first time they did that. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments down below. But what is weirder? The appearance of Spawn in a series that, to my knowledge, did not have guest characters, just suddenly out of nowhere, here's Spawn. Or this.
Okay, here's the easy way I'm going to break this. Soul Calibur 2 changing a franchise that went from a Dreamcast to a totally new series of consoles, changing a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
Tekken fucking 7. There's a big difference in the number of games released for these franchises before they make a change like this.
Has Tekken never done guest characters before?
Not like this. I mean, you had like the Street Fighter X Tekken, you've had different cross games, but
I'm not talking the weird crossover stuff. I'm talking mainstream Tekken series. I don't know enough about fighting games to know this for certain.
Okay, then I'm just going to reiterate what I've been saying this whole time. This specifically is weird.
Okay. I mean,
and if you don't believe me, you can Google it yourself.
I'm not saying it's not weird. I'm not saying it's not weird. I just want to know what was weirder. Negan in Tekken 7 or Spawn seemingly out of nowhere for Soul Calibur 2?
I'm just going to keep saying Negan over and over and over until you drop it.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Mainly because I want to talk about something else that's EVO related.
Now, this I find extremely interesting just because of the drama involved here.
Okay, so if you don't pay any attention to the fighting game community, there's a game that to some is like the redheaded stepchild of the fighting game community, even though it has way the hell more fans than any of the other games at the show, and we're talking about Smash Brothers. So Smash is actually represented by 2 games. You still have the flippin' GameCube game.
Despite its fan base, it kind of has a reputation of being baby's first fighting game, doesn't it?
And yet it can get remarkably complicated, and tons of people watch it, and it's really, really popular.
Right.
And then we have the Wii U Smash. Now, we're talking about that one because there's a little bit of an issue with it, at least according to a lot of people. The Wii U Smash added Bayonetta as a character, and Bayonetta has an ability called Witch Time, where she can like slow time, and she has a lot of aerial combos, and she has moves that a lot of other people can't do, so where she can basically just juggle you for days. And if your character's not touching the ground, then you can't dodge, you can't evade, you can't get away, and you just take up damage, and that's a problem. So Bayonetta is really strong. Not unbeatable, but she's definitely top tier. And the crowd doesn't like her because so many people play her. The top 8, I think, had 3 or 4 Bayonettas, and all of them, I think, hit at least top 5 or top 3. They did really well.
Is it fair to say she's a broken character?
No,
because a lot of people say she is.
I would say she's top tier.
Okay.
She's beatable, but she's kind of crazy. And so the story is that basically different players are playing Bayonetta, and we're constantly met by just boos and harassment from the crowd. Players beat like other popular players with Bayonetta, and they just literally got booed off the stage when they're leaving. So you had players grab their controller and literally just flip off the crowd and walk back to the seat because they won the game. So they don't care. And then we get all the way to the finals, and it's Bayonetta versus Bayonetta. So
right.
It's kind of a bummer when the game gets stagnant to where you just keep seeing the same characters. But a lot of fighting games have that issue. Balance is a tough thing. People find something that's good, and that's what they use. But this is an interesting scenario because the way this fight went is these guys were like laughing. They were being friendly. They didn't seem all that serious. While they're fighting, one of the players accidentally self-deathed. Like they fell off the stage, and the other guy actually jumped off the stage after him to like, as a hey, here's a humble life, let me kill myself too so that we're even and it's not cheap. Which is also weird because they're in a fighting game tournament that's for a ton of money. You think if your opponent made a mistake, you would take the advantage and you would go for the win. But it didn't seem like that's what they were into.
They didn't seem like they were taking it seriously at all.
There's speculation that they had already decided that they were going to split the pot no matter what happened. So they were literally just having like an exhibition match and playing for fun. But you have all these people booing. You have 2 guys just hanging out, having fun. And in the final reset, so they actually reset the bracket where the loser beat the winner 3 times, and then they go to like the last 3 games wins it. At the start of the round, the 2 characters literally just stared at each other and held B. And on the controller with Bayonetta, if you're holding B, she just charges up her gun and points it at the enemy. And they're taunting each other. And they just sat there. Dance. Now, in some of the articles, they say that the characters or the players sat there for several seconds. That's not true at all. They sat there for over a minute.
Yeah, they were mocking the crowd.
Keep in mind, this is a fighting game tournament, and they're just standing there to where the officials had to actually come up on stage and talk to them and say, hey, if you guys don't play the fucking game, you're both disqualified.
Yeah. It was...
And then they finally started playing. And it was like this crazy moment of just pure disrespect from the players to the crowd who've, to be honest, been complete dicks to them all day.
There are so many layers to this story that
it's just crazy.
So from what I'm hearing, it sounds like personally I think Bayonetta is a broken character. I have heard from multiple people who of varying different opinions, but all seem to agree that yeah, Bayonetta is fucking broken and probably should have been banned. You're the first person I've talked to that actually says Bayonetta is not broken.
I mean, that's because I don't play the game, because to be brutally honest, I don't give two shits about Smash.
Fair enough.
I understand that a lot of people like it, a lot of people play it, and I will let them do them. But I don't know. I come from other fighting games where even like the crazy god tier character will eventually get beat, and then they're just another character once you figure it out. And I don't know. Maybe she's just been in too long, and that's never going to happen, and I just don't know about it. But I don't follow it that close, so my bad.
But you can understand why the crowd would be pissed off, right? Because you have a game that's supposed to be all these different mascots and everything like that, and you can understand you get down to like maybe of the shit. Smash has a shit ton of people. Let's say you get 5 characters that are really good. You'd expect some variety, but it almost seemed like it was mandatory to pick Bayonetta to advance in this. So you're pissing off the crowd that way. Then you have this kid here. I don't know which one of them. I think it's Captain Zack was his name. And yeah, people are booing at him, but he's also like flipping off the crowd. He's doing all kinds of antagonistic shit rather than just, rising above it. It's a bad look for a professional. The crowd is going to jeer you. Talk to any professional athlete when you're on like the enemy turf. They're going to boo you, call you names, do whatever they can. You don't give in to that. You just kind of fucking suck it up and you let your actions speak for you. So he goes around deliberately trying to antagonize shit. Admittedly, I get it. He's, I think, 16. I understand why he'd be like pissy and angry and trying to...
Yeah, the two guys were 16 and 17.
Then you get to the finals. After these guys in the crowd have seen, I think at this point, they have already seen 4 Bayonetta versus Bayonetta fights between the various people who are playing here. It comes to these last 2 guys who aren't taking it seriously. You have these rumors that they're going to split the pot. Rumors. That's not been confirmed one way or another. So you're already like, okay, these guys are, I don't want to say crooked, but there's some collusion there because you can't fucking do that. Like if 2 teams for the Super Bowl were to agree to split the money regardless of who wins, that's like some major laws being broken there, like actual laws. They sit around, they fuck around, they're having a good time. There's no competition there. They're not treating it seriously. And then they antagonize the crowd further by sitting here doing the top mission. I think they timed it at like 2 minutes and 38 seconds. That's a long time. Just sit there and watch a wall for 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Time yourself. That is a long time. And they're doing it to piss off the crowd to the point where the judges had to go, you guys need to fucking play. I can see why people are so pissed off about this. And it's such a bad look for what's supposed to be Smash's final swan song before the new one comes out later this year.
But there's something I have to address.
Yes.
As shitty as this whole situation is, as bad as it is that, the crowd's booing people, but, that happens, or that the players getting fired up, or there's shenanigans on stage of fucking with the crowd for a couple of minutes, that doesn't really excuse what happens next. The player that plays Lima, that's Tannen Momari, actually put out a tweet today saying that he's upset with this community. He's not really planning on being on social media for a while. There's just unwarranted hate, personal tracks, unnecessary drama, and talk to you guys later. And actually throws up some examples of like the DMs he's getting and the tweets he's getting. And there's stuff like, I can't wait to record your death so I can listen to it endlessly and laugh. I hope you die a slow and painful death. I hope you get deported. And just all kinds of crazy, hateful shit to these players, because that's what happens on the internet. People are just outrageous assholes, and it's unwarranted. I get that they did something that pissed you off a little bit. I get they play a character you don't like in a fighting game, but it sounds like if you're super into this, you're already like a fighting game fan, or you're at least into the community. Don't be a fucking asshole to the people that play your game.
Don't be a fucking dick. Don't send death threats.
Not.
But one thing I want to address...
You shouldn't be sending death threats to a fucking 16-year-old because he played a video game.
One thing I want to address about this, though, David, is what drives me nuts about this death threat thing is that it comes from such a small minority of people. But of the 4 articles I read dealing with this today, they blamed the entire community as a whole. And fuck that. Because they're sitting there trying to associate walking out, because about half the people watching just fucking got up and left throughout the game. They just stood up and walked out because these two weren't taking it seriously.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Death threats is an entirely other thing, but if you read any of these stories, they're fucking conflating the two. They're saying, look how fucking horrible these fans are. They send death threats. It's like, whoa. Back the fuck up. An extremely small minority of these people were sending death threats. A lot of them have legitimate grievances, and I cannot fucking stand this idea that if you're angry about something and someone else is angry about something and that other dude sends a fucking death threat, then somehow you're responsible for that death threat that someone else sends. And that is the story that is being spun here, and fuck that noise. You could be pissed off at these two. I think they're little shits. You be professional. You rise above.
They're teenagers. Have you talked to a teenager recently? They're all little shits.
You are on a stage
it doesn't matter.
in front of a couple thousand people watching online. I don't care if you're teenagers or not. You fucking show some professionalism. If you're at this level of play, this is not your first rodeo. You know how to act.
Oh, I think these guys' best performances ever were like a 9th or a 17th. So
that's still better than a lot of people. You're still a professional. That's like saying someone playing college football who's 18 can get away with this. This is 1 year older than the 17-year-old kid. No, you know how to act. You're a professional. Be fucking professional. But for some reason, the story is being spun that if I have that opinion, I am somehow also endorsing death threats. Fuck that. There's so many stories just trying to lambaste the gaming community about death threats. It's like, no, death threats fucking suck. The vast majority of people say death threats suck.
Dude, and the fighting game community at large is actually pretty tight.
Yeah. And it pisses me off to see them getting just fucking thrown under the bus from people who are like, oh, death fucking sends death threats to 16-year-old kids. Like, yeah, maybe 0.001%. The same percent of people who are saying all this homophobic bullshit to Sonic Fox, who won the Dragon Ball Fighters. Yeah. Most of the fighting game community seems fucking hyped over that dude. Yeah, that dude knows how to work a crowd. He puts his furry hat on. He fucking dances, win or lose. People cheer for him. But the fucking articles coming out
and he's American. That's important.
Yeah, that actually is important.
USA does not win fighting games.
Yeah, not from just the Go USA thing, but like it's just rare. But the articles coming out all focus on the negativity. He gets called horrible names. They say, don't be gameplay games. It's like, dude, you people are focusing on like literally a fraction of a whole number. So fuck
and yet
y'all.
It's still shitty. And even that fraction needs to get their shit together.
I am not saying that it is not shitty. What I am saying is that is not the community at large, and they are being painted as that. So fuck all that. Don't send death threats. I'm
going to go back to stop being dicks on the internet.
Yeah,
like,
stop
we
sending
just
death
change
threats.
Our whole tagline to that, and then that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, stop sending death threats, stop fucking making guilt by assumption, and stop trying to start shit for clicks. Christ on a goddamn crutch, David.
I guess.
Other things coming out this week that you might be interested in,
some...
if you want to find out, we have 2 announcements that we can't give you the details on, but we'll be able to talk about next week. First of all, a new Nintendo Direct is going to be coming Thursday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Doom Eternal will be having their gameplay reveal Friday at QuakeCon.
There you go.
I just felt like doing a hard transition there.
We don't actually know about, but you'll know about it soon.
I felt like doing a real hard transition there because I was just going to keep ranting if I didn't immediately switch topic. But either way, David, that stuff we're going to get some details about later this week, but those games themselves aren't going to be releasing in Smash's case for at least a couple more months. But if I want to play something right now as I wait for these announcements, what can I play?
Oh, dude, we got a few things coming out this week. I think, well, there's a couple on the list that I'm actually pretty hyped for. But first, we're going to talk about Dead Cells, which is finally hitting PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. This game has been in early access on Steam, I think, since like May or March. And it's a self-described roguevania. So think of Metroidvania, add a little bit of a roguelike to it, and there you go. So it's a combination of procedurally generated like roguelike environments. So the gameplay or the game area changes a little bit every time, but you also have the action exploration Metroidvania style where you find power-ups, you find items. The player is actually like a mass of cells that just occupy and control the body of like a dead prisoner at the start of each game. And as you explore dungeons, you fight monsters, you find new weapons, armors, abilities, all kinds of stuff. And you can get permanent power-ups. So when you die and you come back to life, there you go. You can get a little bit better and get a little bit farther every time. And this game looks pretty damn cool. The art style looks very, very Castlevania. And I think my favorite part of what I've looked at is you can actually choose what kind of health drops. So there's the traditional food, there's the Castlevania style food, there's carnivore, vegetarian, fruitarian. I'm trying to think of what the other one was, but most importantly in the food options is you can make all the dropped food baguettes. And that's a legitimate option in the game, and that's hilarious.
Dead Cells is getting rave reviews, by the way. 9s across the board. IGN gave it like a 9.7. It is a good couple weeks for Metroidvanias, because between this and Chasm, it is an amazing time for that kind of game.
Yep. Also coming out this week, we have Defenders of Ikron, the definitive edition for PS4 and Xbox One. This is a twin-stick shooter-style bullet hell game. So it mixes like new school shoot 'em up and a little bit of an adventure game. But every once in a while, you'll actually jump into an old school, straight top-down shooter. Think 1943, games like that. And it looks pretty cool. Most of the time, you're running around in a full 360 environment and, going through scenarios, upgrading your skills, killing enemies, trying to stop the Civil War threatening Ikron. And there you go. Get your shooting games. Did you ever play Electronauts?
No.
Electronauts is a VR game that's been on Steam for a while. It's releasing for PSVR this week. This is a interactive environment where you actually build, drop, remix songs with friends and artists. So it's like a personal DJ stage, more or less, but in VR. So you can actually mix songs right there, and it's like touch controls in front of you. You're actually, hit and play, switching channels, all that other fun stuff. Get your digital DJ on, everybody. Another fun game this week is Flipping Death for PS4, Xbox One, and Switch.
Now, I saw this name. I assumed it was a pinball game.
No, not even a little bit. This game actually looks hilarious to me. So this game takes place in a town called Flatwood Peaks, which has a problem. Death is actually on vacation. So you play as a girl named Penny who dies, but she's really good at temping. So she meets with Death, and he throws her a scythe and says, "Hey, can you fill in for me?" And the way the gameplay works is you're playing in like the undead world, which is on the backside of the real world. So it's a 2D game where you run left and right, and you actually flip the entire world to go into the land of the living, more or less, and inhabit the bodies of the people that are in town. And you go around solving mysteries and basically trying to help out the ghosts in the afterlife by making townsfolk do all kinds of ridiculous shit.
So it sounds like it's a puzzle platformer.
Yeah, a little bit of a puzzle platformer where you jump back and forth between the living and the dead sides of town, and has a mystery.
Okay.
You get to solve. It just looks really entertaining. It's got a kind of funny art style, and I just wanted to bring it up. Also coming out this week for PS4, Xbox One, and PC, we have Madden NFL 19. Madden NFL 19 is an upcoming American football sports video game based on the National Football League and published by EA Sports.
Well done.
We also have Megaton Rainfall. I don't give a shit about NFL games, but lots of people play those. If you want it, it's out. But yeah, Megaton Rainfall, Xbox One, and Switch. This game's been on Steam for a while. I think it also came out on PS4. It was like a timed exclusive. It's got mostly positive reviews. You are running around as like a superhero in first person trying to save the Earth from an alien invasion. And basically you can try and blast all these aliens out of the skies. Think of like old school tower defense games, but you're a superhero flying around shooting down aliens. But you're also indestructible and can accidentally blow up buildings and kill a whole bunch of other people if you miss. So you kind of got to play careful. We have Minute hitting Switch this week because the Switch does not have enough small indie games. And this is the game that came out a while ago where you play 60 seconds at a time. It's like a short adventure game, except for every minute, your character just flat out dies. but you learn a little bit more, or you get a new ability, or you unlock a new area, and every time you play, you go somewhere a little different as you slowly get through the story of Minute. And that game is pretty cool, actually. Also coming out this week, I'm just going to jump into this one. This is the big one for me. This is a game that we've been waiting for so damn long. Monster Hunter World finally hits PC. That game comes out, I believe, on Friday.
Apparently runs really goddamn well, too.
Sure it does. If you have a beast of a computer, I probably can't even play this fucking game. Actually, looking at both the recommended and the minimum specs, I will be better off playing this game on my PS4.
That is a good caveat.
No joke. This game has some really demanding settings, and yes, I get that you can turn the craziest ones down so that I could get a nice, stable 30 FPS at 1080. And guess what? My PS4 Pro can do a little better. So that really bums me out. I've been waiting for this for so long. I'll probably still buy it. I probably just won't be able to play it that well, and I'm just going to be bummed. But Monster Hunter is a fantastic series, a fantastic game. I might just give them the money just because I want to make more of them. We'll see. Also coming out this week for Switch, if you haven't played this game yet, now is the best damn time to do it. Okami HD is hitting Switch this week. This is now officially the second best Zelda game on Switch.
You're saying Breath of the Wild is better?
No, really? I think what was that game where you play as a kid with a boat? That was like Wind Waker?
Oh shit. Hat in Time?
Sure.
God damn it, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not clicking.
There's another game where he plays a kid with a boat that's very Wind Waker-y.
Yeah.
But yeah,
no, Okami is amazing. This is like the 20th time they've released it. But if you haven't played it, it's a Zelda game for the most part, just without Zelda in, and it's damn good.
It's a Zelda game where you play as a wolf and you paint shit, and it's awesome. It's got cool sound design. It's got good music. It's very stylish. It came from that era when everything was cel-shaded looking, so it does have that vibe going for it. If you don't like adventure games, if you don't like action-y games where you run around fighting bad guys as a wolf, maybe don't play it. But
Rip Clover, man, that was an amazing ass studio. Made
so
God
good.
Hand, Beautiful Joe.
Dude, God Hand was great.
Studio.
Also coming out this week for PS4, Xbox One, and Switch is Overcooked 2. I swear this game came out already, but that was because Overcooked came out, and the Switch hasn't been out that long, so it just seems like everything's coming out really fast. But this is a very, very popular co-op game where you run around with your friends trying to manage kitchens, and it's got online multiplayer, new themes, couch co-op for up to 4 people, versus mode, arcade mode, and people that have a lot of friends and play locally say that this game is very, very fun. I honestly haven't played Overcooked, but I hear a lot of good things about it. And finally, a game that is finally coming out. We Happy Few. Hooray, right? We've been waiting for that game for 80 million years. A game that had an amazing initial release trailer that we thought was going to be this super heavy story game, and then it released as a weird survival roguelike. Now apparently actually has some kind of story mode coming out, and you can play it this Friday, I think, is when it comes out.
It comes out this Friday. The review for the embargo drops Thursday in the morning, I believe, on the exact same time on it. GamePoints was given a release copy for this to do a review on, and I will be doing a review on Thursday if you want to wait for then. Until then, I cannot actually talk about the details of the game with it.
Personally, I can say that I've been waiting too damn long, and I'm kind of over it. And the beta release that came out on Steam a while ago did not leave me excited for it.
I got a lot to say about Happy Few.
Well, we'll have to wait until Thursday. And on that note, I think you might have to wait till Monday for us to have anything else to say. I'm pretty sure that does it.
Yeah, that definitely wraps things up here for GamePoints episode 138. As always, we do broadcast every Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at twitch.tv/GamePoints, and we always appreciate when you show up live, much like Real Pie Master did for this show. We are audience interactive, so we try to get into the chat every now and then, address questions, comments, concerns, or whatever topics you might want to discuss. If you can't, however, join us live, feel free to go to our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/c/GamePointsPC, and you can check out all of our old shows there as well. Regardless of where you're following us and watching us at, you give us a follow, like, subscribe, bits, all that good stuff. You guys have been on the internet long enough. You know how all this works. If you want to follow the show,
love us.
If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at GamePointsPC. I am Stephen Brown. You can follow me at CapitalistPig21, and that over there is David Smith. You can follow him at _Satori. Once again, this has been GamePoints, and until next Monday, y'all have a good night.